Good evening, all, and welcome to today's training program on improving teaching practices by Mrs. Kavita Agarwal and her team, Mrs. Sunita Ma'am, Ms. Lalita Sareen, and Ms. Farzana. Over to you, Mrs. Kavita Agarwal. Please continue.
Yeah, good evening, everyone here, and good evening, Dr. Shubhoshri, for actually making this programs happen and continuous training sessions and ensuring that each training session is fruitfully planned for Jamshedpur schools. Thanks a lot. And today's session, I feel, is going to benefit each one of us in terms to our personal and professional development. And today I have my team as Farzana ma'am. She comes with her experience from international schools, and she has given 15 years working with Cambridge affiliated schools. And then she is a gold medalist in Masters English Literature. And after moving back to India, she is currently working with Mount Literacy School and has supported the school in developing wonderful listening learning resources. Then we have today Lalita ma'am. You all know her very well. She has retired as a founder principal of Jamshedpur Public School, and she is the initiative director after her retirement at Mount Literacy School from the year 2010. And she's she's a wonderful mentor and has done a lot for the school in trying to create a lot of resources or guiding our teachers and supporting the school in a wonderful manner. And she also is in the management committee of a lot of schools in Jamshedpur. Then we have Sunita Sinha today with us. She is principal. She was the earlier principal of Gulmohar High School, Jamshedpur. And before to that, she was at DBMS Padma High School. And then she has experience from Kolkata International School. Wonderful mentor for teachers. And today we are going to hear to three of them, to all three of this beautiful, wonderful minds. And I hope the session is going to be enjoyed by each one of you. So can you hear me all?
Yes, Kavita ma'am, we can hear you.
Yes,
Before we start the session, I'd just like to inform that only one person is the co-host at a time. So before the second person presents, I would request you to please tell the name so that the technical person can make her the co-host. Thank
Yes,
you.
sure, Subhash. Okay, thank you. Are you all ready to listen me? You can interact through the chat box. Dear participants, you can interact through the chat box. Are you ready to listen me?
Yeah, we are.
Yes. Okay.
Ask
So
them
you are
to
ready to
ask them to write it in the chat box because they are
listen?
muted.
Yeah, right. They're raising their hands and I can see, yes, you all are ready to listen. So is there some difference between hearing and listening? So you can answer me through the chat box. Do we believe that there is some difference between hearing and listening? Yes. Okay, that's good. So when we say listening, that is that we are actively engaged and we are ready to understand, we are ready to respond at the right time, and we have processed that information. So there's a difference between hearing and listening. And do you believe that listening comes very naturally, or we need to do something to develop our natural listening skills? So I'd like to ask from Farzana ma'am, and I would request her to be made co-host right now. She is there. That Farzana, how do you like to explain that listening can be fruitfully inculcated in young minds? Sorry, for young children.
very good evening, everyone. I am hoping that, yes, all of us are going to take some benefit from these sharing resources. Yes. I would like to, let's understand it in this way. When babies are born, and do they start to speak immediately? They don't, right? So what happens is that babies take their time. They are aware of their surroundings. All the sounds that are surrounding them, they hear them. They are not listening to them. They hear them. But listening, what is the difference here? Hearing is involuntary. We are not really focusing on whatever sounds. For example, a car passes by, we hear the honking. So we are not really focusing on that. Listening is when we are hearing to understand. So this little baby, slowly he is listening to sounds around him. When you try to interact with the baby, he is listening to you. And that is how he learns to speak languages. Like you see that a baby born in a Bengali family does not start to speak French, isn't it? So that is what it is, whatever they hear. And there are babies who are not able to speak at all if they have any hearing disability. So listening is really, really vital. It is very important to listen. The ability to listen carefully, critically, and to express oneself effectively contributes to a student's success not only in school, but also later in life, where they have to face interviews. We all are aware of this, isn't it? They have to face interviews, they have to participate in group discussions for admissions in colleges, universities, and later on to get their dream jobs. So it is really, really essential. Good communication skills, as we all are aware, is a must. Rich vocabulary, right choice of words, correct intonation, stress at the right places, pause appropriately. All these things, they go a long way to make a lasting impression on a person. So we cannot undermine the importance of listening in our lives.
Yes, Farzana, that was great to understand. Can you just explain us that why do we get distracted, or maybe some practices which we can inculcate in our teaching learning processes to make develop the learning skill in children?
Yes, ma'am, for sure. It is listening can be made use listening as well as speaking in all the subjects. We can integrate it in all the subjects. Reading as it is, we are incorporating. It is important whenever the teachers are they start their lessons. What do they ensure first? They ensure that everybody is listening. First of all, she has to focus, get everybody's attention, and then she starts her class, because she needs to make sure that everybody is listening. So here, listening environment, a proper environment, a focused environment is very important when we are dealing with any subjects. When the classrooms actually become discussion forums, and students, we give them projects to research, even right from grade one. We cannot wait for them to come of age. No, we can start right at the very beginning from grade one. They, I can give you examples. From our school, that is, and I'm sure all of you must be following it, because a lot of resources are already available in all the forums. So what we do is we ask the children, even in grade one, in different subjects, to make videos based on their research work. Like any teacher who is teaching a subject, any topic, for example, even if it is a simple topic like verbs. So the teacher asks them, after she has completed her lesson, she gives them a topic for research, that you can create your own video on verbs. So the children, not only do they research, they confidently express it in their video, and when you come to see it, you will be really impressed, how confidently they are able to express their understanding of the particular topic. Even you will find it very amazing that even sports exercises, yogas, all these activities, the children are able to make small videos, demonstrate the different exercises while they are explaining it. So it is really beautiful how ASL can be incorporated in all the other languages and subjects.
Okay, that was great to hear that it can be incorporated. It can be incorporated in all subjects, and this can help in benefit mutually other subjects improvement also. But I feel there's a improper way, like we have some resources, and this listening skill has to be a part of our regular programs. And so, Susanna, how do you like to make it further clear for the teachers what type of resources, what type of activities, and what type of follow-up activities would be important to develop this listening skill and speaking skill in students?
Ma'am, listening tasks can be available in any form. You see, there are lots of announcements, whether it is on TV or it is on radio. Even when you're traveling by car, you can listen to a lot of programs which are knowledgeable. And, it also makes you focus for certain content. Advertisements, you see, you listen to advertisements. There are interviews, a lot of interviews are available. You could listen to them. There are speeches, beautiful speeches available. And there are talk shows, then there are podcasts, stories, poems. All these are, these are all listening activities which voluntarily or involuntarily we are all involved in every day. Previously, what used to be the focus was even the listening exercises. That and this is something not really new. ASL activities are not new, but earlier how it was done was that the teacher used to read the texts and then the students would listen to it. But now the focus is on creating a different kind of an environment where the student is actually listening to a tape script, not a reading activity, where an audio is played and the student has to listen to it, and the various questions are asked on it based on whatever you listen to. And that is how um, that this is the focus that we had when we wanted to develop our resources. I had actually approached Kavita ma'am, and I really was I'm very passionate about the ASL activities, and I wanted to get involved in some sort of creation of resources for us. Although there is a lot available, I would not say there aren't enough available resources, but then we wanted to create some resources of our own. And yes, Kavita ma'am has been very kind and very helpful, in the sense that she made a lot of books and resources available for me from which I could create my own audios. So, would you like me to explain it to me, ma'am, the way we have developed the resources?
Yes, Farzana, please. I would like you to, share some examples and carry us through some activities.
Yes, ma'am. We have to first understand that whenever we have our ASL activities, we need to give correct and clear instructions to the students that once the audio is started, it will not be stopped. So the students are, at the edge of their seats. They know that no, we have to focus. We cannot let our focus waver. Otherwise, we are going to lose some of the exercises. So there are two different ways. It is different when we do it online. Like when we are doing it online, generally, like what we do is I share the worksheet and then I play the audio. So it goes on simultaneously. And when I give you the example, when I share it with you, you will understand that the whole resource is itself self-explanatory. The instructions come, and at some places you will, especially for grade 1 to 5, what I have done is that I have even read out the questions for the students so that it is easy for them to learn reading as well. So we are incorporating reading as well there. But then for grade 6 and above, we are not reading the questions. In offline classes, we have to ensure that the children are sitting in their seats, the worksheets are already pre-available. It should be distributed to the students, and through Bluetooth speakers, we need to have the audios played in the class. First, give them some time to settle down, go through the worksheet once so that they know where they need to focus, and then play the audio. Be very, very firm that we are not going to stop the audio anytime while the lesson is going on. So then, it makes a different kind of an atmosphere where assessment of listening and speaking happens. And my broadly, I've divided these resources into three parts. A small pre-listening activity where children, are supposed to think of. There are little activities, maybe a map work, or maybe they whatever knowledge they already have, whatever knowledge they have. These activities are generally based on that. Then there is a while listening activity. That is, while the audio plays on, the students have to listen to it, focus on it, and then do all the exercises based on it. And then it is the third part is the post listening activity, which comprises of generally a speaking activity. What I do is at the end of the listening class, I give them the topic, discuss with them that this is your research topic. You need to learn, focus, research, write down if you need to certain points. So you see, I am incorporating all the skills, LSWR, listening, speaking, writing, as well as reading. So what they are doing here is they are researching it, writing down certain points, and then presenting it the next day in the speaking session. So it is alternate weeks. 1 week we have the listening class, and the next week we have the speaking class. So it is assessment of listening and speaking together, hand in hand. Generally related to the speaking topic is generally related to the listening part. And we make sure that there is a theme which is followed throughout from grade 1 to grade 8, every theme, so that students are able to take away some values with them. So I would like to share an example and not talk so much. Let me just give you an example so that you can understand it in a better way. I'm just sharing my screen here. I would share the worksheet as well as the audio because both of them are together. This is the worksheet that we have here, and I will share the audio as well, play it for you.
Hello everyone, a very happy morning to all of you. Welcome to the listening class. You need to maintain complete silence and listen carefully to the audio in order to answer all the questions correctly. Listen to the guidelines and complete the exercises. Before we begin the class, let's have a warm-up activity. Sometimes our friends like to have fun by joking or teasing each other. But what is fun for one person can be hurtful for another. Take the things that are fun for all and cross out the things that may seem fun to some but might be upsetting for others. Number 1. Watching a comedy show. Number 2. Making fun of the way someone speaks. Number 3. Laughing when someone trips and falls. Number 4. When someone makes a mistake in class. Number 5. When your sibling gets scolded by your parents. Number 6. When someone tells jokes. Now listen to the words carefully and write down their spellings. You will hear each word twice. Number 1. Skinny. Skinny. Number 2. Anxious. Anxious. Number 3. Smother. Smother. Number 4. Greased. Greased. Number 5. Varied. Varied. Number 6. Inaccessible. Inaccessible. Number 7. Stretching. Stretching. Number 8. Squeezing. Squeezing. Number 9. Shrinking. Shrinking. Number 10. sliding, sliding. Now listen to the words one more time and check if you have all of them correctly. Skinny, anxious, smother, greased, varied, inaccessible, stretching, squeezing, shrinking, sliding. That was the end of your spell check. Now listen to the funny poem about a girl who was so thin that people called her Rattlebones. Don't you think that is rude? My parents call me Ashwini. They are really very kind. For others, call me a skinny for reasons well defined. But when they call me Rattlebones, bag of bones, sticks and stones, now that I really mind. Now please don't stop and ask me why. I'm mainly bones and skin. No matter what I do or try, there is no flesh within. More butter, says my anxious mother. More ghee, says my dad. Your bony frame the flesh will smother. More fat will it add. But all the butter and the ghee have simply greased my bones. Instead of adding fat to me, I rattle in sweeter tones. Yet, to do the things that I can do, thin I'd rather be. And you'll wish to be skinny too when my feet you see. For a lively show when I'm around, give me a tap dance test. You want a tippity tappity sound? Tap me, my bones do the rest. For more varied sound, give me a whack. At concerts, I lend a hand. With sound effects, the clickety-clack of a horse and tonga. And when you want a clitter-clatter, pitter-patter, rattly-twack, I'm a regular one-man band. And I can reach into any space, through window bars and racks, to the most inaccessible secret place, leaving behind no tracks. You'll find me stretching, squeezing, shrinking, sliding. I slip in and out through cracks. I slip in and out through cracks. Now you will listen to the poem one more time. My parents call me Ashwini. They are really very kind. For others, call me a skinny, for reasons well defined. But when they call me Rattlebones, bag of bones, sticks and stones, now that I really mind. Now please don't stop and ask me why. I'm mainly bones and skin. No matter what I do or try, there is no flesh within. More butter, says my anxious mother. More ghee, says my dad. Your bony frame the flesh will smother. More fat will it add. But all the butter and the ghee have simply greased my bones. Instead of adding fat to me, I rattle in sweeter tones. Yet, to do the things that I can do, thin I'd rather be. And you'll wish to be skinny too when my feet you see. For a lively show when I'm around, give me a tap dance test. You want a tippity tappity sound? Tap me, my bones do the rest. For more varied sound, give me a whack. At concerts, I lend a hand. with sound effects, the clickety clack of a horse and tonga, and when you want a clitter clatter, pitter patter, rattly twack, I'm a regular one man band. And I can reach into any space through window bars and racks to the most inaccessible secret place, leaving behind no tracks. You'll find me stretching, squeezing, shrinking, sliding. I slip in and out through cracks. I slip in and out through cracks.
So I hope it was audible to everybody. You see that the teacher only has to create the right kind of an environment, ensure that everybody is listening, just play the audio, and rest everything comes on its own. While they are listening to it, they can simply keep answering the questions here. Then we have after this the speaking activity, which is related to the listening activity. Like here we see that Ashwini, because she was very skinny, people used to make fun of her, call her names. So here the speaking activity is based on body shaming. The questions like, what do you understand by the term body shaming? Discuss, do you think it is important to be sensitive towards people who are not born as fortunate as you are? Like, children who have a lisping habit, or it could be anything. How would you deal with a situation where you find a group of children body shaming and bullying another child? So these two topics are very important, body shaming as well as bullying, and we have to ensure that people are sensitized toward it. So children learn that they should not be behaving in a certain manner when they feel that there is a children who are not as fortunate as they are. So do you think the matter should be addressed at a larger scale? And how? So these questions, leave them thinking as to how appropriate or inappropriate their actions have been in the past, or if it is required to change. So this is what I have for grade 6. I hope you have liked it. And another thing is important, I would like to point out here, is that we have to make sure that there's an element of surprise. Do not make your the pattern same. Every time involve them in different kinds of activities. For example, what I have started to do is when I am dealing with a story, what I do is I give them a few words from the story, again, like a spell check activity, maybe just 10 words. And then I ask them to make up a story from those 10 words. That is predictive learning. How can you predict the story? What is the story going to be about according to you? And you will not believe how many stories I get out of that one story that I have planned for them. So with those words, they make very nice stories. And then after that's done, we discuss, and then I finally play the audio, and then my story begins. So this is appropriate for grade 6, and I would suggest that you need to have a variety of questions, like it could be very short answers or fill in the blanks or MCQs, and like true or false, or maybe the completing the sentences, sequencing. You could tell them, give them pictures, and maybe they can sequence it. Or there are some exercises where I have given them maps, and directions are there audibly in the audios, and the students have to listen to the directions and find their way. You will see an example in another audio which I have made for grade 1. So if I have the permission to share that, I would like to share it with you all.
Yes, please proceed.
One moment, ma'am.
Hello everyone. A very happy morning to all of you. Welcome to the listening class. You need to maintain complete silence and listen carefully to the audio in order to answer all the questions correctly.
Teachers, you will notice that here I am speaking slowly because these are little children. This is grade 1. So they would take more time to understand. If I speak faster, maybe they would not be able to get me.
Listen to the guidelines and complete the exercises. Listen to this poem about honeybees and read along. Honeybee, honeybee, where is your home? On a tree far away called a honeycomb. Honeybee, honeybee, why are you around flowers? To collect sweet nectar and work on it for hours. Honeybee, honeybee, what do you do? I make sweet honey for all of you. Now, listen to this funny story about a bee called Ben who didn't know how to buzz. Isn't that funny? In a colony of bees, there once lived a bee named Ben. Ben did not know how to buzz. Because of this, all the other bees made fun of him. The queen bee heard about this and said, "A bee without a buzz is like a cat without a mew. Then you must go to school and learn how to buzz." So the next day, Ben the bee was sent off to school. His first lesson began. His teacher said, "I want all of you to say, bee, bee, bee." Oh dear, thought Ben. Learning to say bee is too much for a little bee like me. You, buzzed the teacher. Now let's try the last letter. Z, Z, Z. None of the students could do it. So the teacher said, "Buzz all the way home now. We shall try again tomorrow." Ben went to school every day. He practiced buzzing. Many days went by. One day, the queen bee wondered, did Ben pass his buzzing exam? As the queen bee looked out of the window, she saw Ben going buzz, showing off his buzzing. The queen bee smiled. Ben was so happy that he buzzed and buzzed. He did a dive and said "Yahoo!" and landed in a basket of glue. Now, you listen to the story one more time. In a colony of bees, there once lived a bee named Ben. Ben did not know how to buzz. Because of this, all the other bees made fun of him. The queen bee heard of this and said, "A bee without a buzz is like a cat without a meow. Ben, you must go to school and learn how to buzz." So the next day, Ben the bee was sent off to school. His first lesson began. His teacher said, "I want all of you to say, bee, bee, bee." Oh dear, thought Ben. Learning to say bee is too much for a little bee like me. You, buzzed the teacher. Now, let's try the last letter. Z, Z, Z. None of the students could do it. So, the teacher said, "Buzz all the way home now. We shall try again tomorrow." Ben went to school every day. He practiced buzzing. Many days went by. One day, the queen bee wondered, did Ben pass his buzzing exam? As the queen bee looked out of the window, she saw Ben going buzz, showing off his buzzing skills. The queen bee smiled. Ben was so happy that he buzzed and buzzed. He did a dive and said Yahoo and landed in a bucket of glue. That was the end of the story. Now read each question and choose the correct option to complete the following sentences. You will listen to each question twice. Question 1. Who was Ben? Option A, a dog, a bee, a cat. Question 1. Who was Ben? Option A, a dog. Option B, a bee. Option C, a cat. Question 2. Why was Ben sent to school? Option A, to learn to buzz. Option B, to learn to sing. Option C, to learn to fly. Question 2. Why was Ben sent to school? Option A, to learn to buzz. Option B, to learn to sing. Option C, to learn to fly. Question number 3. Who told Ben to go to school? Option A, Ben's mother. Option B, Ben's uncle. Option C, the queen bee. Question 3. Who told Ben to go to school? Option A, Ben's mother. Option B, Ben's uncle. Option C, the queen bee. Question 4. When Ben learned to buzz, what did he do? Option A, buzzed and did a dive. Option B, jumped and laughed. Option C, flew from flower to flower. Question 4. When Ben learned to buzz, what did he do? Option A, buzzed and did a dive. Option B, jumped and laughed. Option C, flew from flower to flower. Question 5. Where did Ben land? Option A, pool of water. Option B, bucket of glue. Option C, dish of milk. Where did Ben land? Option A, pool of water. Option B, bucket of glue. Option C, dish of milk. Question number 2. Match the words in column A with their meanings in column B. Column A, the words are hive, bee, honey, and colony. Column B, the meanings are an insect with 6 legs and 4 wings. A yellow sweet liquid that bees make. A bee's home. Bees living together. Enjoy matching, my dear children. Question 3. Here is an interesting activity for you. Follow the color code given below and color the picture to find out what is hidden in it. Follow the color code given below and color the picture to find out what is hidden in it. Enjoy coloring, my dear children. That was the end of the listening class for today. Have a great day.
It is so engrossing, as you all can see, because all of you are teachers and you all are answering these little questions. It is really like I feel happy to see that you all are participating and answering. So here there is a speaking activity which is connected to the listening activity. The teacher would talk about the importance of honeybees for the environment. She would involve the students in discussion and take their views. And then it is surprising how interestingly the discussion would develop. You will yourself see. The students make a collage about the importance of honeybees. This is the project which is given to them. And then the next class, they discuss it. They show it, they explain. So that is how it would proceed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Farzana. It was a wonderful example shared by you, and I feel it will benefit all of us. Yes,
I
today's
hope so.
problem is that we all complain that children are distracted. Uh, they pre-hand information, right? They in between start their own discussions, and sometimes they come up with some disagreements without hearing the entire thing. This is very, very important that how we incorporate this listening skill in children and proper communication skill. And that's the reason our classroom programs or curriculum should incorporate a lot of listening and speaking activities for children. And that is the need of the hour. And coming with this to Lalita ma'am. Ma'am, how do you say that? How do you like to speak on vocabulary skills? Will this listening activities be sufficient in developing the vocabulary skills, or do you feel there should be something more which can be done to incorporate the right vocabulary for children?
Thank you, Kavita. First of all, the audio is very, very weak, so I can barely hear. But yes, communication is definitely very important. You need to use the right words at the right time for better communication. If I say, this was a very good afternoon, and Farzana, your presentation was good. Kavita, you asked me a good question, and I'm trying to get a good answer to that. Very boring way of speaking because you're repeating a word again and again. And that is the limits of our communication. You have to make your speaking more flowery or more interesting for the listener to take in. If I repeat good 4 times, that means the listener has already switched off. For example, many people have left this webinar because they can't hear. So communication is important, and we need to understand at least 98% of the words to comprehend what we are reading. So that's why communication or enhancing of vocabulary is very important, and more important to express ourselves in writing, because writing is different from conversational language. So you can't write the way you speak. So you have to have a large reservoir of words which you can delve into to make your writing creative. But there are obstacles, and the obstacles are with us. We don't expose ourselves or the children to words, different words. So first of all, we ourselves need to expand our vocabulary to be able to give to the children. Then the task. It is said that a child needs to know at least 2,000 to 3,000 new words every year. So the task is very large. If you don't have a resourceful person, you will not be able to do this. And then limitations of resource material available. We think dictionary is the only resource for enhancing vocabulary. And then, even then, if you know the meaning of a word, the complexity of its usage will confuse anyone. For example, if I say that I am refurbishing my house, now refurbishing can mean renovate, can mean restore, can mean refresh, can mean revamp, can mean spruce. So, which word is the child or this person who's writing needs to use? So, we have to be very careful of how we make the choice. So, the speaker has a variety of tools at his disposal. So, he has gestures, he can use tone of voice, he has facial expressions. But a writer has only one tool, and his primary communicative tool is the right choice of words. So how do we inculcate this in the students is what we need to learn. And we can't say, I'm writing 5 words on the board today, so learn it and we will see how we can use it. Most boring and uninteresting way of getting students to learn new words. We have to have multiple activities so that it is internalized in their everyday language. So what are these activities? I'm overstepping you, Kavita, because I know you will ask these questions, but time is a factor here. So I will go on to the activities that we can use for inculcating vocabulary
Yes,
and
please.
making it interesting for the student. These could be used at any level. You could have sketch words. So here, instead of writing the definition, the teacher or the draws the word. Draws means defines the word. For example, we have traffic signs. When we see the signs, we know what it means. So similarly, you could have words, drawing sketch words, and the children guess what the word is. You could have a graffiti wall. Somebody can put in one word, and the other children would put a sticky note of what they think the word means. They could even draw their meaning of the word. So suppose I say tremble. Now somebody can write some words about tremble, somebody can draw, and this would also give an association with visual images. So they can use this to enhance, and you will have a variety of words for your word for the other children to. You could also play, we play Antakshari. You could also play Antakshari. We can play one now. So if I say we'll play an Antakshari with adjectives, and the first adjective is awesome. So the last word of awesome is E. How many of you can give me another adjective with E? I'm sure you're all teachers and you will find an adjective with, okay, excellent. Somebody has said excellent, somebody has said elegant, somebody has said energetic, all ending in T. So where do we come? Okay, where do we then go from T? Some adjective with T. T now. Okay. Okay, talented. Very good. Any others coming up? Tempted. Okay. Talented, terrific, tasty. Very nice. So we'll take talented. It ends with D. So another adjective ending with D. Should be faster. Daring. Okay. Delicious. Diligent. Okay. Tremendous. That is, we are stuck at T. We have moved to D. Dreadful. Okay. So can we take dreadful because it has a different letter ending L. So something with L, and this will be lovely. Okay. Long. Lovely again. Okay. So you could use this strategy to teach different adjectives or verbs or whatever you want. And the children will enjoy it because it's like a game, and they would think and read up other words. I often ask, why do we say good morning every single day to the children? And all they learn is good morning, good afternoon, good night. Why can't we use something else? Why can't we say amazing morning, brilliant morning, awesome day, lovely day, sunny day? There's so many different ways of getting words into the everyday lingo of the students or of your colleagues. And you know, the child will look forward to wishing you in a different fashion. He wants to be one up on you. So you have this strategy, try it. It's very interesting. And another one you could use for any class would be, you know, A to Z. Tell them, write as many words as you know from the letter A, and then from B and C and D and D. Doesn't matter if they look up the dictionary. The idea is to make them learn new words. You can also ask them A to Z, the words that you are using. Next time, put synonyms against them starting A to Z, or antonyms against them starting A to Z. So you have different strategies to get them to look up new words, to use them. And unless you help them to use their words, nothing will happen. Just looking up a word is what Rosanna said, hearing. It's not listening. So here it is just looking up, not using. And only when we use these words will be able to overcome the obstacles that are there in the way of enhancing our vocabulary. So don't just rely on the dictionary. There are other resources, there are thesaurus, there are word contents, lots of pronunciation dictionaries. We have to be aware of what is available so that we can guide the children, because reading has become a lost art. Children are not reading, they rather be at the computers or the internet. No harm if they are doing something interesting and productive, but reading helps you to gain new words, and writing helps you to use those words. So these two skills should be imbibed and inculcated. But before that, the teacher has to be proficient in these two skills, herself or himself. So happy reading and happy enhancing of your vocabulary. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lalita ma'am. Before the other speaker starts, let me inform you that, and to all the participants, that nobody left the meeting, ma'am. We are running full house of 1,000 capacities. Wonderful session. Please continue.
Yeah, so I pass it on to Kavita because there is one more speaker and there's hardly any time.
No, we have time today because the session is planned for 1.5 hours. Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so you ask me the questions so then I can
Ma'am, since we have the
go ahead
opportunity to
with.
hear from you, we'd love to know, like, because a lot of activities are done for enhancement of vocabulary. But how, as teachers, can we,
Yeah.
develop some practices to actually build the right vocabulary, or maybe you say develop the vocabulary or creative vocabulary?
That is what the strategies that I spoke on is what will help the students enlarge their vocabulary. So if you have visuals, a very good idea is to draw a picture, and in the picture hide words that you want the children to discover, and ask them to see how many words can you see or can you decipher from this picture, and let them see. They can get other words. In fact, they will get other words that you had not planned in the picture. So that's one thing. You could use it to make them learn proverbs or idioms using the same picture. You could even use them finding the words, and as Farzana said, making up a story with the words that they have discovered, in the picture. They can also the teacher can give them one word, say elephant, and ask the students to make as many other words that you can make with that one word, elephant. So it could be pant, and so on. You can go on for the smaller classes that make 3-letter words with this word, or 4-letter words, whatever the creativity of the teacher desires and whatever the target is. So you have to have your target words with the meanings, and when you get a word, you have a target word, you must give multiple examples of use, not just one and two. I've often seen that in the question paper or in daily use, they use describe. But in the question paper, they will write enumerate, illustrate, which baffles the students because they have not come across these words earlier. So multiple words of use of the same one word should be there in the everyday language that the teacher uses. And, and the students learn and imbibe what they hear. So if they hear a number of words, they will be able to imbibe it into their own writing and speaking. And one has to be very careful about how one speaks. Nowadays, it's never English. It's a mixture of English, Hindi, and God knows what. So that is why they think like that. If I can't find a good word, I use the Hindi equivalent. And similarly, in Hindi, if I can't find a good word, I'll use an English equivalent. As a result, they are neither good in English or in Hindi. So they must have a large vocabulary. And if it is said that you should have 2,000 words at least a year, then we should work towards a target of 2,000 words. But the words have to be not just random words, words that they come across in the stories and the poems that they are reading. So you can come across a number of words. You change it into synonyms, antonyms, adjectives, verbs, and you already have so many words in your vocabulary if you do this. And of course, there are a number of games that you can play with. Scrabble is a very interesting game to enhance vocabulary. So one can play Scrabble. One can, there's another interesting game where, what we call Damshraj, but this is not Damshraj. You give a word to a student and he gives clues to his colleagues, and they have to guess that one word. Suppose I say crying, upset, weep, tears, emotion. Which word am I aiming at? Can anyone guess? It's an emotion. It has all these actions: crying, upset, weeping, tears. So, what is the emotion that draws out these in me? Okay, maybe a synonym of sadness. Sadness is also right. Unhappy. I was looking at unhappy. So okay, so now when somebody said sadness, I must give more clues so that I get the word unhappy. I can always say opposite of happy. So games like this makes indirect inculcation of vocabulary into the life of the child. If you say learn new words, it becomes a task. But if you play a game, it becomes something very interesting and keeps him engaged, and he's happy. And he'll go home and say, we played this game. So let's have more activities when we say we want to enhance vocabulary and imbibe new words. And the first step is that the teacher has to use new words herself or himself.
So, ma'am, that was really good to hear that, first of all, we need to inculcate our vocabulary skills, or we need to have good vocabulary so that our children can follow us and be motivated to use new words. But there was a thought from Mr. Alok.
Yeah.
that you were saying that, though we know a lot of new words, but we are not into the habit, or we don't really use these words. And our mind stops us from using those good words or the new words which we have learned or maybe we know. So what are those challenges, or maybe something, how can we overcome this?
I don't see why there should be any obstacle to using a new word. Either you are not confident enough about the word, so it stops you from using it, or you think that the listener may not know the word. Doesn't matter. If he doesn't know the word, it's a good way to impress people. Having a good vocabulary is a best way to impress people, because they'll say, oh, this one knows so many words, using such amazing words. So I feel that you should use your words. Maybe you can start by writing down something using your vocabulary, the words that you feel you cannot use. I've never encountered anyone who says, I cannot use these words, unless they are words which are not socially acceptable. So I think go ahead and use it. No, nothing should stop you.
Yes, ma'am, we are really impressed by the way you have tried to bring those strategies, even explained this difficult point to us, that yes, we can use any word, and it's something our mind will not stop us if we are confident. And the practice which you shared right now, that even we can write this word, which is not just coming to us, and make our sentences, or maybe maybe improve our communication skill in this way. So thank you, Lalita ma'am, and
Thank you. Thank you,
thanks to
Kavita. The only thing I want to say is, when we say the students are not reading, I think the teachers also are not reading enough, so that they can enlarge their vista. Reading is not to enlarge your vocabulary alone, but there are lots of facets that are there in reading which they can transmit to the students. And I think we should target at reading at least one book a month, which will not only improve their vocabulary, it will take away the hesitancy of using a word, and it will upgrade them to a better teacher or a better speaker, a better listener. Thank you.
Right, ma'am. As you rightly said, that reading will not only improve our maybe reading or vocabulary building, but it will definitely improve our knowledge and the information which we can share with our children at large, and rightfully do the best for our kids. So
Yeah.
that is very, very important as a in our personal lives and even in our professional development. And
Yeah.
coming to like Sunita ma'am, okay, ma'am, you are there. Sunita, can you hear us? Are you there, Sunita? I think Sunita is unable to hear us. Okay, so we'll proceed and just see if Sunita can join in, or we'll take the session forward. So as we said that, there are a lot of distractions in the classroom. There is a lot of disagreements in the mind, and which stops the child to listen properly or maybe answer properly in the classroom or participate well. This, when we speak, our speech rate is more or less like 150 words a minute. But when we process the information, it is 400 to 800 words a minute. And that's the reason the gap is there. Yeah, just a second, I'll get the information. There's a call from Sunita. Yeah. Okay. Dr. Shubhatsri, Sunita has to be unmuted. She's unable to mute herself. She's unable to unmute herself. And Sunita is there in the session. Dr. Shubhashri? There's a difference between the speech rate and the processing rate And that's the reason our brain takes in a lot of information and we start daydreaming, or maybe get lost from the information which has been shared. And that's the reason at times we don't participate well, or maybe we try to respond in a different way, or give a prejudgmental sharing. So it's very important from a very young age that how we can inculcate the right listening skills so that children are active listeners. At the same time, this active listening will not only help them to listen well, participate well, but at the same time inculcate skills like problem solving, uh, getting to understand each other, working in teams, because it's the skill which you need to be working in teams and to hear and cooperate with others, maybe even in your social lives. And that's the reason teachers, we today decided that we should share something on listening skills, as it is very important from a very young age. And through Sahodaya, we'll make these resources available, and schools interested can fund Sahodaya, and we'll plan a very affordable sum amount, so that Shubhashri, as he permitted, that president of Jamshedpur Sahodaya, that we can make these resources available for schools which are interested to have the resources developed by Farzana. And this will be also enabling Sahodaya to to raise some funds for the common benefit of schools. And if again Sunita is there, we'd like to hear from her.
Request Sunita ma'am to unmute herself. Sunita ma'am, you are unmuted from this side, from the technical person side. Please unmute yourself.
I think Sir Shubhashri is facing some technical issues, so it is okay. We'll proceed
Maybe.
and then try to bring her in the next session.
Yeah.
Okay. So we would like to hear from Farzana or Lalita ma'am, whoever is comfortable, that how could we develop some creative writing part.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, Sunita. Thank.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, now I'm clear. I'm sure I'm clear now.
Yes, very much clear. So Sunita, would you like
Okay.
to share with us some practices how to inbuild good creative writing skills in our students?
Okay. Thank you, Kavita. I know from listening to reading to speaking to enhancing the vocabulary, we come to now creative writing, which is the most difficult thing. General writing, it focuses on factual and straightforward content, but creative writing focuses on the imagination and symbolic content, where there is character development, it's narrative, where it is imagination is there, story writing is there. And our brain is so powerful, the children's brain is so powerful, that we have to tap the talent which they have, tap their creativity, and we can do this through creative writing. Now creative writing is something which a child needs to be guided. There are children who don't speak but they write beautifully. Yes, they read a lot. Now there are 5 elements in this descriptive writing. That is the sensory details. Then you have the figurative language, you have the dominant impression, and you also have precise language and careful organization. Now I will tell you something very easy way how you can develop this creative writing with the children starting from the lower classes. First, right from the KG classes, you can develop their creativity by teaching them rhyming words, which is so very important. When you teach them the rhyming words, it helps them in the low KG, they do the rhyming words. And as they come to the higher classes, first standard, they start writing sentences with the rhyming word. And this is the first step. Because with rhyming words, it enhances the vocabulary and it sets a motion for them to write the sentences with rhyming words. As you go to the higher classes, there's another acronym which you can use that is known as BCOP. Now, B is for vocabulary, C is for connectors, O is for openers, and P is for punctuation. Connectors, vocabulary. Like if you're doing a session, composition on, say, a rainy day, which many classes do it, a sunny day or a hot day or a rainy day. So the first thing you do is they make these columns of B, C, O, P.
where they discuss the vocabulary. Each child, like as Lalita ma'am had just said, that you can build the vocabulary and write the adjectives in that what happens on a rainy day. There's rain, there's splash, there's mud, and each child gives a word. This you can do even through Zoom. It's not only offline classes, but even in online classes, where each child is given an opportunity to say one word linked to that particular topic. So as many children, that many words you get, and the teacher jots it down, and each child also jots it down, so they have that vocabulary with them. The next is the connectors like and, but, if, because, even though, after, although. These are the words which connect the sentences. These also can be discussed with the children and given to the children beforehand, that these are the connectors. Actually, children can make flashcards on connectors, openers, and punctuation. There are certain words which can be given to them, and they can use this. Openers, like openers is how you start a sentence. That is they, my, then, if, before, afterwards, next, meanwhile, actually. So these are the words which can be given to the children. And then there's punctuation. Children are aware of the punctuation mark. This, like full stop, comma, semicolon, exclamation mark, this can be repeated again and again, and this the punctuation can be used, and actually children can make flashcard with this. So every time they write a creative writing, they do the creative writing, they have this VCOP in front of them, that is vocabulary. Instead of telling them straight, come on now, write a composition or write 10 lines or 15 lines on a rainy day or a sunny day, it's very difficult for a child. So what we have to do is, if we give them this acronym of VCOP, that is vocabulary, connectors, openers, and punctuation, it will help the child to reorganize his thoughts and write in a creative way. They have got so many adjectives in front of them. So the teacher discusses these adjectives, and as the children are saying these words, the teacher is adding synonyms. She's asking synonyms also from the children. So this way they're building the vocabulary, they're getting the words, and then they write down the sentences, because it becomes easy for them, because the connectors are there, how to connect the sentences, the words are there, they can pick and choose the words from there, how to start a sentence, the openers are there, the punctuations are there, which punctuation to use. Now, as they go to the higher classes, they can use another acronym called Simpac. Now, what is Simpac? Because they start using S stands for similes, I stands for idioms, M stands for metaphors, P stands for proverbs, A stands for adjectives, and Q stands for quotation. So this Simpac they can use. The teacher will have to explain what is a simile. So they can use this Simpac, like it is a very effective tool. Similes, a figure of speech. It is used to compare two dissimilar things, like she hung her head like a dying flower. So these can be given to them, and they can use these similes in their sentence. Simple similes to start with, which they can use daily. Idioms express meaning through a combination of words. The teacher can tell them, no need of giving the full definition of idiom. Just simple, like for example, once in a blue moon, that means a rare occurrence. So killing two birds with one stone. Telling them it is an idiom, but then later on when they go to the higher classes, they're taught these idioms, and certain idioms children can write and use it in their creative writing. So in the Simpac, similes, idioms, and then you have metaphors. Now metaphors also can be taught. It is a figure of speech that is used to make a comparison between two things that aren't alike, but to have something in common. Like, he was a lion in the fight. Her tears were a river flowing down her cheeks. So can use these metaphors to enhance their texture, the quality of their creative writing. Then we can use proverbs. Usually actually the teachers can use proverbs every time they start a class. The class teacher usually is given the responsibility, can start with a proverb. And these proverbs can be used, the children can be guided to use the proverbs, and of course adjectives like excited, like just now, like Lalita ma'am just said that how various words can be used, again, vocabulary can be enhanced. So as they are using the words, more and more adjectives can be given. And in fact, the children can make adjective wheel, like mostly words which they use are excited, tender, scared, angry, sad, happy, what they can use, elated. So what are the various synonyms which can be discussed, and they can make a small flashcard or a wheel, adjective wheel, which will help them to refer to when they are writing. And the quotation. So they can use these VCOP in the lower classes, and as they go to the higher classes, they can use this acronym Simpac, SIMPAQ, similes, idioms, metaphors, proverbs, adjectives, and quotations. Then another one is the graphic organizer. Graphic organizer is having 4 squares, wherein the first they write the introduction, the teacher discusses it with the children. Each child gives a sentence, and the teacher says, okay, from 5 children, she can take the introduction part. Then the details about the topic. What is the topic about? Are they describing somebody, or are they describing a weather, or they're describing the journey by train? So details about that. And then in the third square, more details, short sentences and phrases the teacher can write after asking from the children. While this can be done even through Zoom, in Zoom classes using the whiteboard, the children come up with it, and it becomes easy for a teacher to write because everything is from the children. And then in the last square, they can write feeling sentences, what they feel about it. It's very important to put the emotions in the thing, and that is what touches the reader. And when they do this creative writing with emotions, it gives them, it touches the reader, and it helps them to be more creative, because after all, emotions are something which really touches us. Then the teacher can use of 4 W's and 1 H, which can be used, like what is the story about, where is the story happening, use your senses to describe it, who are the main characters, what is the problem, how is the problem solved, and then use the VCOP and Simpac after using the 4 W's and 1 H. Can use the mind map, can have the topic at the center, like a visit to the sea beach. Then the children can give words. It can be divided, that what do you see in the sea beach, how do you experience at the sea beach, what are the things which you can see over there. So this way the children come up, and the teacher can use the whiteboard and ask the children these words. Yes, and encourage the children to read. Now, we tell them, go, today you should read one storybook. No, the child will never get interested. Tell them, okay, get empty wrappers of chips or Fun Munch, and let us see what is written on that. So, they develop that interest in reading, and from that, they can pick up the words. Now, if they read certain words, crunchy. So ask, when they read that word crunchy, that it helps the teacher, it helps the student to understand that word, and the teacher can give synonyms, and they can write down that word. In fact, they can maintain a small vocabulary book, a booklet sort of thing, and they can use those words in their creative writing. Then we have the comic strips, where the dialogues are there. They can draw like a comic strip and write the dialogues, which and helps them to do, they help them to be creative. Like, what is the dialogue going on between two people, between the hare and the tortoise? Like, another thing is that the story of the hare and the tortoise, to write in their own version. So this helps a child to think, visualization, which is so very important. A child, you ask a child when you want them to write a visit to the seashore. So a teacher gives them visualization. You are going deep into or visit to the forest. You're going deep into the forest, and then you see the animals, you see the birds. So that visualization helps a child to build the creativity in him or her, and then rewrite the story. This helps them. And what if, very important, if you give them, what if it rains milk? What if this happens? What if Cinderella was happy? Or what would have been your feelings had you been in Cinderella's place? These things, questions like this with 4 W's, 1 H, VCOP, Simpac, graphic organizer, all these will help the child to write, and helping them through this vocabulary. Yes, Kavita?
Thank you, Sunita. It was so nice hearing from you. PCOP, four W's and one H, and the adjective will. And I feel these practices are going to help us and maybe improve the creative writing part, as it is very, very important that the child needs to write well, or maybe impressive writing creates a difference. And as when communication is concerned, listening, speaking, and writing, all three are very, very important. And as teachers, we have to inculcate good practices or maybe strong practices to improve this in our students, and to see that not only the skill is built. Okay, so it's very, very important. And as concerned for the day, like we got to, the participants were very, very energetic, or I say that they were very informative and they were ready to participate. And there was a beautiful comment or maybe a remark by a participant that biscuit is crunchy. Sorry, financial crunch and biscuit is crunchy. So when you are using the word crunchy and you are trying to share that how good vocabulary can be always built, and creative writing is very, very important. So thank you, participants, for such a wonderful session and being so much passionate and participative. Right now, before we end the session, we'd like to take some quick questions from you. So you can use the chat box to put in questions for any of the panel members.
Before we end the session, I would like to thank Kavita Agarwal ma'am, Lalita Sarin ma'am, Sunita Sinha ma'am, and Ms. Farzana ma'am also for the wonderful synchronization and presenting in a nice way. You could hold our attention for this whole more than an hour. It's nearly 1.5 hours now, so it was wonderful and it was quite a learning experience. I could see all the participants engaging themselves through the chat box and everybody staying till the end. That is more important. That shows the success of the session. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Shubhashri. And if schools are interested, we can come forward, share our resources, and maybe develop funds for our Sahodaya templates. So that is like our idea, that how could we promote Sahodaya and make it a common learning platform and enriching program for all of us. And thank you for really giving this opportunity to all schools and engaging the schools in such a beautiful way. Thank you so much. And participants, if you have last minute questions, we can take in. So I think Dr. Shubhashri, there are no questions. So you would like to end the session?
So if the participants have no more questions, we would like to end the session here, but the session was very energetic and very nicely done. So thank you all once again for staying with us, and definitely we will try to make this common platform for learning for all the schools of Sahodaya. Thank you all. If you have completed your session and there are no more questions to ask, then you may exit the session. Thank you all.